Two Guys, One Shaker Cup podcast, hosted by Joshua Shaw and Ryan Buckeye.
What's up, guys and girls? Sunday evening, 7:30 in the p.m. I was telling Josh this before we got in the air. It's important that you all know this is how dedicated we are to you, our lovely viewing and listening audience. 7:30 p.m. on a Sunday. Josh just got back from Canada. I just got done doing cardio. Josh flies out to Los Angeles tomorrow or some shit, going to Expo West. From Expo West, he flies to Columbus to the Arnold on Friday. This dude's got more airline miles on his credit card than most people. And the fun thing is, for Josh, he doesn't have to pay for a single one of them because these companies just pay out of their ass to fly you to places to listen to you spew your bullshit, Josh.
I know, it's amazing how they want to just hear me talk about a bunch of nothing.
When I grow up, I want to be Josh Shaw. I want to get paid to spew bullshit. And then somehow people like OGs in the space will like do a Facebook post and they'll tag you and me in it like we've done something. What?
I know, I'm like, who are we? That's what I always say. Like, what?
Jesus, we're just
they need to stop talking positive about us, I'm telling you.
Dan from Ghost gave me some really good advice when we were at Ghost recently. He said, Ryan, act like you've done it before. Act like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's what Josh does. He acts like he knows what he's talking about. I act and speak the way that I know it, and people are just like, well, they sound like they know what they're talking about. So let's I mean, Mark Glazer just posted a thing on you saying like you're one of the brightest minds in this space again. I was just like, Mark, you got to quit drinking tequila. You have no clue.
Yeah, that was after a whole night of us drinking tequila. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. If you're with Mark Glazer, you have no choice but to at least try tequila, and it's amazing. I now frequent the tequila bars. So anyway, enough of the chair chatter. We were talking today. This will come out the week of the Arnold, the week of Expo West. In terms of the ever-changing retail landscape within sports nutrition. And it's not just sports nutrition. I think as consumers, the way we purchase our items today are significantly different than they were even 6 months ago and a year ago. I mean, it's literally changing every single day to the point where we see guys in the space. Richard over at Sportica had just posted something recently on Amazon taking pictures of their deliveries. Well, they've been doing that for quite a while, but it's starting to kind of touch everybody in every demographic, and it's becoming unique and different and a cool way to do their shopping, especially when it comes to sports nutritional supplements. And when we broke into the space, Josh, when you and I got into this industry, I mean, how would you describe the purchase pathway for a consumer?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, internet was starting. I think it was still kind of a thing that only younger people literally did. I mean, I remember purchasing a lot of my supplements on, bodybuilding.coms or some of like the deal sites like DPS Nutrition or, SUPS or NutriPlanet, which is RIP NutriPlanet. I don't think they're alive anymore. But some of these sites that you got like some deals, and as a college kid, obviously that's where we were doing. We were trying to search for the deals. So I wasn't going to go to GNC and Vitamin Shop because they were just too expensive for a poor kid from Northeast Ohio. So I bought a lot of my stuff online, but for the vast majority of consumers, they bought from specialty retailers like GNC, Vitamin Shop, Vitamin World, and that was it. You didn't even have the opportunity really to buy much stuff anywhere else if you wanted to pick it up from a brick and mortar site. Like you literally had to go to a specialty retailer to pick up, so your supplements or your sports nutrition products. Nothing like today in terms of the variety of options that you had to purchase your goods.
You and I both kind of grew up in like low class sort of communities. I mean, that's not to be rude, but they weren't like significantly an influx of income. I lived in a town of 4,000 people. The closest shopping mall for me was about 32 miles away in a town called Wausau. They got a GNC. Like we had to drive 30 miles to a GNC. My brother bought Celtec. I remember for the first time. For no reason. I have no idea why. But we had to drive to the mall, which when malls were cool and like a thing to go to. So that just tells you how old it is. And go into this little GNC. And to Josh's point, I believe the price tag on Celtec was like $59.99 or $69.99. Something insane. At that time, too, everything within GNC was super expensive because dietary supplements or sports nutritional supplements had just become kind of, I wouldn't say sort of mainstream yet, but to the point where people thought like, my God, these are like legalized steroids. They're going to help me do all these things. And quite frankly, some of them were. But I mean, during
that time frame, a lot of them were.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was like the first time I remember a supplement being purchased within my household. Now, I recall my first purchase on a supplement may have came online at bodybuilding.com, but I also remember taking Weider creatine capsules that I think I bought from like a Walmart or some like regular Kmart, some store that carried a small line of vitamins and minerals, and creatine just happened to be one of them that they had there. But it was not like, like it is today. I mean, things are definitely different today, the way we get our goods today. I mean, for a good part, I mean, even through college, I mean, it was for the most part bodybuilding.com. I mean, that's really, that's 2005 to 2009. It was bodybuilding.com. Amazon wasn't even an option at that point yet, really. I mean, I can't remember. You would know better than me when Amazon sort of became a viable option within purchase decisions in the space. Like I mentioned on a previous podcast, I started with a company called Supplement Warehouse in 2014, and we were one of the first dietary supplement retailers to sell via Amazon. So that was still quite a ways away. And it'd be interesting to hear what people are listening, or watching to see, like, how did they purchase their supplements too? Because before, do you know the history of GNC or Vitamin Shop? Like, when did they come to fruition and when did they come about?
Oh, GNC's been around for a long time. I think during, like, literally maybe 80 or 90 years, honestly.
Really?
Vitamin Shop, I think, is actually a lot younger, maybe in the 70s. I'm honestly probably butchering this, but I remember GNC being really an older company. I think maybe it started as like a natural store, or maybe even like a pharmacy type of a store or whatever, but it's kind of morphed into what it is today. But it's been around for a while.
Were they generally, and this is just from my own knowledge, and people probably want to know it too, but were GNC retail models traditionally placed within malls, shopping malls? Or did they have their own storefronts?
They were probably standalone. Yeah, because, I mean, malls they're still a considerably new thing as well. So, I mean, at the beginning, they would have had to have been in, just a regular kind of storefront or whatever. But I think that, I'm trying to look it up when it was founded, but I feel like it was definitely an old company. 1935.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I mean, just because, you and I both being familiar with the space, and even like working with Alex Ardenti on Sups, the movie, the documentary, which I think you've seen. That it dates back to, like, 70s and 80s of dietary supplements. Nothing previous to that, really, too much. I mean, there is, back in the 1800s, this guy developed some type of supplement. But the point being is, like, okay, so it's been, I'm 33 years of age. When I was 23, 10 years ago, I was buying things. At that point, it was bodybuilding.com was like the end-all, be-all platform, and that's where you go. You spend $50, you get like a free trinket. You spend $75, you get a bag. You spend $100, you get a shaker cup. Like, my God, a shaker cup, so cool. But that was the way they would differentiate themselves from the DPS Nutritions of the world, supplement warehouses of the world, and they also, I think they also doubled down on content that helped them quite a bit too. And at that point, like bodybuilding.com, that domain. Pretty valuable domain. I mean, it kind of said what it was, right? From there, the way that I purchase things like today is significantly different. I mean, for full transparency, I don't have to purchase much, but when I do, it's really different. And let me ask you this, Josh: how important is it for you at your age? How important is speed of shipping to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I want things right when I want it, when I bought it. You know what I mean? And I know I'm a patient guy, but I think that I've been kind of trained over time now to just, especially living in Austin, Texas, like if I don't get the thing the same day, I'm upset. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's gotten to that point now where I think, like, I'm used to ordering, say groceries or something, and it comes in 2 hours. And if I order something that is like a normal top selling product, to say I need a keyboard or a mouse or something that's, that's the top seller or whatever, I expect it that day. Or next day if I order it kind of late in the day. If not, I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's going on here? Because I think our planning in terms of our repurchasing, or maybe our just purchasing in general, is kind of moved to that way. And that's quicker for me than to go to like a physical store or anything like that. It's better just to kind of purchase it online at this point, especially with Amazon having 2 major warehouse distribution centers like within a drive to Austin.
Yeah, and we have one here in Minneapolis too. And I I will be completely honest. Like, I will look for, if I'm in a product category, this isn't just dietary supplements, this is just anything in general. So say like a keyboard, right? A keyboard, I will look for the keyboard. And if a keyboard has less of a rating but gives me that same day delivery, like I will buy that one because I want it today versus, waiting a day. Waiting a day. How impatient are we as consumers? Waiting a fucking day, we can't do it. But that is what Amazon has done for us. And Amazon has even gone as far as, I'm sure you've seen these too, Josh, being in Austin, but walking through the Mall of America this last week, there's a new store popping up. It's basically an Amazon top sellers store. So it's going to be an Amazon store that's going to carry their top-rated, top-selling products in there. So instead of them having to give it to you same day, you can literally walk into the mall, pick up a keyboard or whatever it might be, and that's the one you're getting. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's called their 4-star concept. So basically you have to have over a 4-star, and then there's all these kind of other things. But basically it's a kind of a hodgepodge store of just kind of hot sellers of things that are based on like that geographical area and a bunch of other kind of things that they kind of put within the merchandising algorithm. So it's very much like data driven physical store. It's not necessarily just like, oh, this is the national bestseller, we're going to put it in here or whatever. It's kind of like they're really trying to think of this in terms of like geographically. Mall of America might be a little bit different because that's like a destination point for a lot of people. Like that's like, if you're a hardcore shopper, that's probably on your list of like, we got to hit the Mall of America one day in our lives. But most stores, it's probably geographically driven in terms of, they know obviously the data in those zip codes, so they know like what people are normally buying, and it's just like a matter of stocking that stuff in the store.
Right.
I want to kind of talk. We were talking about digital sales and things, and I have had a few conversations the last couple of weeks around some of the old guard, I guess, in the industry. They call us obviously the young bucks, and we are not aware of a time that came before the bodybuilding.coms. Like that was the time when we kind of emerged into this whole thing, and we don't really know too much before that. But we talked about Mark Glazer. And he was showing me an old catalog of before NutraBio was NutraBio. It was like Nutrabolics, or I don't remember what it was, but basically it was and it was old school like direct to consumer like magazine sales. Like you had to either call the number and talk to somebody on the phone, which is cringeworthy in itself. I would never want to call somebody to order anything at this point. And then secondly, you could have either mailed in your order and did it that way. And I thought that's interesting. And then, that was kind of the time of like EAS and metrics and like kind of all this whole phase of like people that did business direct to consumer before direct to consumer went digital. It was kind of like the first phase of it or whatever. And then basically took it more digital with, the bodybuilding.coms and all those types of things that kind of moved this to internet business. And then brands, took a while to kind of do the direct to consumer websites, at least in a big, I guess, proportion of our space. It took a while for whatever reason for these brands to kind of turn on their websites in a way that actually was direct to consumer as like an actual sales channel, not just like we put our products out there as like an online catalog.
It's so funny that you bring up the catalog because NutraBio will still send a catalog with their orders.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody out there has gotten the NutraBio order, you will get a very nice catalog that's not cheap to print. I mean, they still send one along. It's a product highlight catalog. Now, it's not like here's a 1-800 number call, but it's it directs them, I believe, to the website. But there are brands like Redcon One that has a call center. Like having a call center still exists today. Redcon One, Blackstone Labs. I think there's several others that still have them.
First Form has a big one. They actually, a lot of these brands are utilizing it. I know First Form for sure. Like they utilize it as like a value generation type of like helping people get to their goal. Like they want people to call them for half an hour and talk through like their challenges, which is kind of unique in the sense, like if you could build a community where somebody wants to literally call you up and talk for half an hour about something, you're building a pretty good business that could actually attract people that would be into that. Because for the most part, people just want to like, push you through to a chat bot or something like that. So it's interesting that there are still businesses that are leveraging like the human one-to-one interaction extremely well in kind of this 2020 world where like everybody's moving away from that. It's like text message ordering, like a company like Dirty Lemon, that's a drink company that literally you cannot order anything other than through text messaging. You just order through their kind of chat bot on their text message, and they ship it to you direct to consumer or like in a day or two, and it's all good to go. It's crazy that our phones are becoming our kind of like our shopping center, our this is our retailer in our hand. It's like we don't necessarily even need to go through the traditional retail models like you used to with the whole checkout processes and stuff. It's like done through SMS chatbots and things of that nature.
It's just, yeah, I mean, I would venture to guess that the conversion rate on those calls, though, for first form, when somebody calls up and say, I'm struggling with my weight loss goals, I guarantee that person's leaving that call buying something. It's the value add, sure, but the underlying thing there is like you're going to buy something. You're not getting off this call in 30 minutes and not wasting my time. I mean, it's not like that. They obviously want to help people. If you have ever called in on one of these hotlines or one of these call centers, I would love to hear. And if you're part of the call center, I know we have a bunch of Redcon people that listen to this and watch this too. Like, we'd love to hear how that process goes for you guys, because when people are calling in the Redcon, are they calling in because they want to order, or are they calling in for stack suggestions? Like, I mean, it is a cool feature. And when you were there, you're in Boca, you saw how big that call center actually is. Yeah. I mean, it's an impressive size call center. Those are a head count that they have to pay. So obviously it's working, and it's working well. Now, when you brought up the catalog stuff too, I just remember like getting the old Fisker catalogs that my parents would like order from back in the day, and especially around Christmas time or holidays, you could order all this stuff. And it's just crazy that was the norm. Like, and in sports nutrition, like, that existed, where there literally was an order form that you would, like you were mentioning, that you'd send in. For now, we talk about like omni-channel or something too, where some people might purchase some things online, some people might go into the store. The biggest question I have in today's environment is like this whole concept of brand loyalty. So many of these brands, once upon a time, the retail model of a bodybuilding.com or a Tiger Fitness was the place, is a place that a lot of people went, because they might buy, 3 items of one brand, 2 items of another. But a lot of the brands now are putting their time and effort into direct to consumer. So their goal, are consumers willing to go to a Redcon One or a NutriBio or a Muscle Feast and buy things individually and pay shipping costs individually based on brand loyalty? Or are they like, I'm just going to go to Tiger Fitness and buy there because I get free shipping when I spend over $99, or I'll go to Amazon. Amazon, I guess, is a nice platform still for a lot of people. But how would you go out and do your purchasing if you had to buy supplements today, do you think?
I mean, me, based around my kind of behaviors or the way that I think of purchasing, I would probably go on Amazon, just because I'm looking more towards a convenience factor over a brand necessarily knowing my name and
Sure.
having that purchase history and whatever. And I think that's a good kind of distinction between online purchasers. At this point, you have somebody that goes on Amazon. Those are generally ones that are looking to attach themselves to the convenient aspects that are built the proposition around Amazon.
Right.
So that is, the short shipping, maybe the price is decently, but it's also just a matter of like being able to order whatever you need in a weird basket of stuff together, and it'll all ship whenever it ships as quick as possible. And you don't need to go to a bunch of different retailers to pick up your vacuum and your Q-tips and your pre-workout, if that was your order.
Right.
So it's kind of, for me, I think that's just a matter of ease. I like the search engine, and it's just easy for me to pick out what I need from the information layout and reviews or whatever. And but then you have on the other side, you have people that literally want to, they want the brand to know their name. They want Ghost or Life or Redcon or NutriBio or whatever. They want them to actually know their name. And if they do have a problem, if they do end up calling or emailing or whatever, they want to be able to have you pull it up and say, oh, John's ordered 10 times in the last 3 months. Man, this is a good customer. Let's take care of him. Let's make sure that he's good to go. And, let's try to hook him up with whatever. And those people exist. I would say that most people are in a combination of both, because I think that there's obvious categories you care most about.
Yeah.
Be that pre-workout or protein or whatever. You have probably your bucket of 5 things that you really care about. And you probably have a couple brands that you really like their stuff. You like their brand experience, you like their story, you like whatever it is. And that's where you're going to buy those 5 items you really care most about. And then there's maybe another 5 or 10 items that you could care less about. They're just a commodity to you. You just I want the cheapest, most quality thing I can buy as quick as possible. And then they're going to buy those things from whatever brand can offer that at that time. And that's probably going to be on Amazon or, Tiger Fitness or Bodybuilding.com or whatever it is. But that's kind of, for me, I think that the purchase habits right now with people, I think there's a combination of both that's happening. So you kind of need to decide as a brand, where are you at in this whole kind of picture now? You kind of can't be in the middle, and you kind of can't be all on the commodity side or all on you got to figure out where you're at, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that comes into play that too is like the exclusivity of the brand. Like Ghost, for instance, right? You can buy it at their website. You can't get Ghost on Amazon. So like you can't go to Amazon and get it. So you're forced to go to Ghost or you're forced to go to GNC. Nice thing is if you go to like Ghost website, there are coupon codes that knock off 20%. So that's kind of cool. Redcon, for instance, they are available on Amazon. So you could get them there, but you're gonna get a better price on redcon1.com. So, like, you have to toggle and juggle that, too. Like, what's important to you? Is it price? Is it the convenience of selecting multiple brands via Amazon? There's a lot to it. For me and the way I purchase now, because I still purchase supplements here and there, I do it based on just, like, helping my friends for the most part. So, like, for instance, Mark Lobleyer just launched that Vitamin Shop. I went and bought a bunch of boxes at Vitamin Shop to help support that, because I want him to be successful, and I want that to be successful at Vitamin Shop. Or Buddy just started a website called the Nutrition Junction. I purchased things through him to help him out too. That's when you get to that point. Otherwise though, I'll be honest with you, I will still kind of purchase on price for a lot of part. I'm not loyal to a particular retailer. Like I'm not loyal to bodybuilding.com or Tiger Fitness or even Amazon for that matter. But if I get it quicker from Amazon for the same price or right around the same price, I'll buy it from Amazon for sure. But the thing is, like, you understand being in this realm of the world and being in digital marketing that you're typically going to get a better price or deal if you buy through their consumer website because there are a bunch of coupon codes floating out there that you can knock prices off. And yes, I it's not that I refuse to pay full price, Josh, but I also understand, like, you shouldn't have to. I mean, unless you're going to like Tory Burch or some like styler handbag that doesn't discount their shit ever. In this space, there's a discount code for every brand in the world. I mean, there's one that exists somewhere. So it's just that if you pay full price for something in this space, I'm not going to say shame on you, but like. Shame on you. Like, what are you doing? I mean, it exists. Like, do you not have Facebook? Do you not have Instagram? So, it is unique. But I think there are still brands, though, that are slow to change to that direct-to-consumer model or to kind of like, for instance, we covered this last week. Muscle Sport, for instance, is a huge brand. They've been traditionally priced on their website high to support brick and mortar, right? They wanted you to go into mom-and-pop shops and buy there. But they announced this last week that they're finally going to be available on campusprotein.com. So, like, but it's 2020. So, do you foresee brands? I mean, you're in the space. Like, do you see brands going all in on direct to consumer?
I mean, it kind of depends on what their aspiration level is. I think that's kind of the key here, where building a direct to consumer site, there's going to be, at least in 2020, there's a ceiling. You're not going to be able to get maybe to $250, $300 million on a direct-to-consumer site just because of the overall purchasing habits, like in terms of offline, online with the category and how big the category is as a whole overall anyways. But I think you could build a very big business just direct-to-consumer if you really wanted to. I think it just depends on the aspirations of the owner, because you eventually get to that point where you hit a plateau and you realize the customer acquisition costs are probably cheaper if you're going with some type of physical retailer that you can, utilize, shipments over to a distribution center, or, you have a bunch of retail points of distribution that now, customers are more willing to go pick up a product, say a protein bar or an energy drink or something like that, where those things come into play, where you need to have those retail points of distribution where somebody can go into their local town and pick it up, and that helps just the overall size of the business. But it just kind of depends. Like, if you want to build a $5 million, $10 million business, lifestyle business, and run it with 2 or 1 employee, literally you could do it. It's simple to do it. I think it's just a matter of how far do you want to take this, and if you want to take it to the ultimate level of competitiveness, the biggest you can get it to, eventually you're going to have to make that decision of who's a good retail partner that I want to work with that's going to help my business. You're going to have to pick one of them, because you're just going to kind of get stuck in the patience type of thing to wait for the rest of the world to catch up to you wanting everything to be 100% digital. It's kind of like Amazon. Like, they would love for the whole world to just go completely digital, and they would win that game every day. But they had to go out and buy Whole Foods. They had to go, create some of these retail concepts, because they realized people aren't as quick to change as they would like it. They would love for that to happen, but they had to move a few steps back to get people to purchase things in certain categories, like grocery. It just so happened to be that way. So, I mean, even with sports nutrition, with the digital penetration being much higher than like the average of all retail sales, you still have more sales happening in store than you do online. So if you want to kind of throttle your brand and sit and wait, then you can. But I would say most people have eventually get to that decision. They got to make that decision, like, who am I going to work with on a physical retail sense?
So let's finish this episode by talking about futuristic purchasing behaviors within this space. And you mentioned several things on this thing. Your cell phone. You mentioned they strictly only take orders via SMS text messaging. Redcon has an app. Okay, not many. First Form probably has an app too. I'm not too familiar, but they offer, like, let's start with the app first off. Redcon has an app that offers special discounts for app users only. For Redcon is a very big brand that has loyal customers. I think the app probably is pretty successful for them. But do you? I mean, I see like the Amazon app I use all the time because it's convenient and again it's a shopping mall. I have a hard time wrapping my head around brand-specific apps if it's just strictly for purchase. If there's special content, I guess, through the apps. Now, Cage Muscle does a really good job through their app of Chris Gethin's workout programs and training series. I think for that to be successful, I think you need more of that. I could be wrong, and Aaron could hop on here and be like, dude, we do, X point million a year in the app. I have no idea, but I have a hard time thinking that app is for a brand-specific purchase is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think for you to have a successful app, I think you need to have something that brings people back into it constantly.
Right.
So I think, like, if you are, unless you're Amazon or Walmart or one of these massive retailers or brands that have hundreds of millions of, like a Nike that has their apps and things of that nature, that is where this kind of works. Is it's a law of averages, I guess, of just you're just working with a bigger base, so you can create a sustainable app by just having people purchase. But I think for most brands in our space, it comes down to you need to give a reason for that consumer to open that app. So is that content? Is that some type of personalized information, whatever it is, to like make sure somebody to come in there, because it's not necessarily transactional. Like the phone and digital is very transactional, but I think that the more you can kind of put layers of experience and different things in there that adds value, I think that brings more people into it. There's going to be a lot of people that just want the transactional aspect of it, but you want to also bring in a lot of people that are not necessarily interested, especially in a category that, like, people need help. They know the goal they want to reach, but like literally they're lost past that point. So it's for you to add that value to get them to be comfortable with like purchasing products is probably important.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You have to have some sort of value add through content. One thing too, like you look at the popularity of something like MyFitnessPal. There's an opportunity for, I think, brands to develop some sort of that would bring somebody in every day. I mean, if you're tracking macros and you're tracking exercise and you have an ABC brand app that has that. Oh, on top of that, your sponsored ads are the products from the company, and then you also get these flash sales and things like that. It brings more people into, and it gives them more of a value add, more of a reason to do it. The second thing you mentioned was the text messaging. Now, I do recall receiving texts before from brands like CVS, for instance, does this for their pharmacy. Do you want to refill your prescription? Hit 1 for yes, 2 for no. I mean, that is pretty convenient. And what brands could do is like, do you want to, renew your order or re-up your order that you just made 3 months ago or 2 months ago? I have not seen anything like that yet in this space, although I would not be shocked to see it come out in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, that's kind of a missing part in our space. You have a lot of brands that are trying to acquire customers, and then when they get to the purchase, they just stop. They don't do anything else. Like there's this post-purchase like loyalty kind of part where if you don't want customers to go back into the mix of like recycling and trying to find a new brand and then you have to acquire them again, like you need to think about the post-purchase loyalty. So there are things like you're mentioning about just like sending basic reminders. If you are asking for somebody's phone number for their order, maybe it is just sending a thing like, at the 21-day mark, like, hey, how'd the product work out for you? You have any questions? You're up for the time of ordering. If you'd like to try maybe our new flavor of Total War, here's 10% off your next order or whatever it is. And I think that you're not seeing those kind of reminders. You're not seeing a lot of that cultivation of the customer past the purchase. You're just seeing them. They got the sale, they got the money in the bank, and they move on to the next customer. They try to move on to the next customer. And we try to move on. It's kind of unfortunate because you're constantly then trying to recapture that customer instead of like just fostering them already into your funnel. Right. So I think you're going to probably start to see brands think like that. I mean, you see them doing it maybe on an email or whatever, but the email open rates over the text message open rates are, not even close to each other. So, I mean, in terms of text message, I think it's 80 or so percent within the 5 minutes, somebody opens your text message. So it's like, if you want to get somebody's attention, send them a text message because they're going to open that.
No, you're 100% correct. And I think, we will see it. I've seen, I don't know if I've seen even, I've seen tracking updates at Tiger Fitness, but through Facebook Messenger, which I thought was cool. But I don't recall seeing it through SMS text. And I think that's, part of the platform and website. But I think texting is a great way, great utilization. Now, could it also be annoying for the consumer? Sure, it could, but then you can opt out just like you do email, nothing different. They would have to require that. But, I think the way that we end up purchasing items, not just in this space, but in general, it's going to come, more digital. It's going to be more on your handheld device through text messaging. I don't foresee, phone calls being anything huge in the future, but, websites will obviously still be there and be there for a while. I don't know what's next after websites. I really don't, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe, obviously Amazon will be dropping your stuff off via drone here pretty soon, which will be cool. And then, maybe we'll get to the point where Aaron Sigerman hops in that private jet of his and just hand delivers everything like Santa Claus right to your front door. Don't put it past that guy. Do not put it past that guy.
I think what Amazon would love it to be is voice, because they own a lot of the home speaker market right now with Alexa. So I think I think it's still unnatural. I mean, like language in terms of spoken language would be the easiest way to order your stuff, but the platform or kind of like the how it's kind of set up on Alexa is a little bit difficult at this point. I think like we don't know how to properly order things the right way. So they have to kind of put us through this like training process or build apps off top of it that maybe makes sense. So I think like, that's maybe a next iteration, but I think eventually it's just going to be something where like everything is automated. Everything is basically in a just a cycle where like you get to this point where things know what you want before you even know it, and it just orders it. I think it's like that. We get to that point of just like literally sitting back and things just show up based around our consumption habits with like little sensors that are sitting in our pre-workout that knows there's 2 servings left. And you obviously want to order another one, so it'll just kind of show up to you, or whatever it is. So I think like you get to that point where, it makes sense. Like with the whole, we're totally probably getting a little off track. Well, I'm getting off track, but this happens sometimes on our podcast. Like with 5G kind of coming out with like, you're having the ability to put a bunch of these like IoT devices or trackers on everything really cheaply now, and you have them being able to talk to a network that's actually fast enough that can get the data in real time. So it's like you're going to see a lot of that stuff start to show up. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but like eventually you're going to get to the point where literally you don't even have to think about ordering toothpaste or ordering like your basic fast-moving consumer goods. Like you don't tend to switch anyway. So like if you need to go get your toilet paper, it's the same stuff. Like, it should just know, like you're on their last one and you have, 6 hours left of usage. You're on a 6-hour shipping window, so it'll just ship it to you. I mean, that seems like where it all goes for me. Like, why think about having to reorder things? You should just know.
That would save a lot of marriages. You forgot the eggs again. You forgot the ass wipe again. Like, come on, dude. 2 things you said there, Josh. One, I think there are refrigerators that exist today that actually monitor like amount of liquid left in your milk containers and stuff, and remind you that you're almost out. I think that exists. Or when something's about to expire, I believe it tells you that. But 2, by the time this podcast comes out, 5G will no longer be the cool thing; it'll be 6G. So I mean, that's how quickly how quickly we're moving. If you guys like what you heard here on the podcast, hit that subscribe button. We are on iTunes, Spotify, at YouTube. Follow along on Facebook, 2 Guys, 1 Shaker Cup. On Instagram now, too, 2 Guys, 1 Shaker Cup. We're over there as well. If you have topics of consideration, make sure you post them. Post comments on this as well, and help us out by giving us a review. Helps out the algorithm so more people can find us. Let's enjoy the Arnold. Let's try to get a live one done at the Arnold. And make sure you sneeze and cough a lot on me so I can catch the coronavirus from all the places you've been at.
Yeah, definitely.